Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to SEC Championship Game Week. This is Chuck Dunlap at the conference office in Birmingham. We'll have both coaches on for 30 minutes total. We'll begin with Coach Smart here in a few minutes, and then conclude with Coach Saban the latter half of the hour. Same as usual, we press star one to get in queue. If you could limit to two initial questions, and if we have time, we can come back for some follow-up questions after the fact. Also, you might want to just pause a brief second after being called on before asking your question, so the first few words do not get cut off. We're going to be joined by Coach Smart any minute now. For those of you who want to go ahead and get in queue for Coach Smart, please press star one now, and then we'll begin with Coach Smart in just a moment.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Hey, doing good.
Good afternoon, and welcome back to SEC Championship Game Week. While we wait on those questions to come in, would you mind giving us a brief comment on Georgia making it back to the SEC Championship game this season?
Yeah, we're excited and honored to represent the SEC East, and we really feel like that our team has gotten better throughout the year. We've had a really young team, and they've grown up throughout the season, and they've got a big challenge in front of us now, playing one of the best teams in the country. And I know our guys are excited about getting back to Atlanta, because that's always a goal for the program here at the University of Georgia, to have an opportunity to go play for a championship, what's one of the best conferences in the country, and we know what's at stake. So our kids are excited, and we're looking forward to starting our prep on Alabama.
Thank you, Coach. For any questions, press star one, and we'll begin with Murray Poole, a Bulldog Illustrated.
And several of these seniors, Damon Harris, Isaiah Buggs, and all were there. But I think Quentin Williams there, a big redshirt sophomore lineman, wasn't there on defense, of course. But what would you say about him? He's had a great year, and I guess he's going to be one of the very top defensive guys you've faced all year.
Well, Murray, I missed the beginning of your question. I caught where you were talking about Isaiah Buggs, maybe, and Quentin. You said about Quentin Williams, but yeah, when the last season I was there, Quentin was one of the commits, and certainly a very talented player. I think anybody would tell you he's improved immensely over the last couple of years. He's a guy that's developed and gotten better with each year, and he's playing at a really high level.
Okay, thank you.
Next is Alex Byington of the Montgomery Advertiser. Alex, are you there? Try us again. Alex Byington with Montgomery. Can we open up his line, please?
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Alex.
Okay. Hey, sorry about that. Just given the way the season ended last year, how much did this matchup, Georgia-Alabama, feel like an inevitability throughout the season?
I don't know if it was inevitable. I mean, certainly both of us had to win some football games to get to it. But I think last year's game is last year's game, and our kids are really focused on playing good football. That's really all we've worried about for the last 5 to 6 weeks since the LSU loss, is moving forward and trying to grow as a team and get better. And that's been our focal point. It really hasn't been much about last year.
Thanks, Kirby.
Next we'll go to Steve Moulton of WZZN.
Hey, Coach, how are you today?
Doing good, Steve.
The development of your wide receiver core, I was hoping you could speak on the development of that core and how they've developed this year, Coach.
Yeah, they've improved with each week. I think their confidence overall, there's kind of been every game's kind of had a different layout with different wideouts, kind of being able to showcase their abilities. It doesn't happen by planning by us. It happens by what defenses do and kind of what we get dictated to us by the coverages and how they play us. But I think they played really hard. They've been a huge asset on special teams. I think 6 of those guys start on special teams and do all kinds of things to make our team better. And they've really bought into being a physical core unit, and that's what makes them different.
With Bama's front seven, how big of a challenge is this going to be for the offensive line on Saturday, Coach?
Well, it's always a challenge. Alabama's always separated themselves in regards to the offensive and defensive lines, and this team is no different. They've got extremely talented offensive line, extremely talented defensive line. So that's who they are. There's no bones about it. There's no way around it. They're good on both lines of scrimmage, and that's where they try to control the game. And it'd be a great challenge for offensive line. They get to go against a really talented group.
Thank you, Coach.
Next we'll go to David Pascal, the Chattanooga Times Free Press.
Hey, Kirby. Yeah, obviously these two teams play for the national championship. Back in July, these two teams were the overwhelming favorites to win their respective divisions. This has obviously been a good league, a lot of 8 and 9 win teams in the SEC this year, but what is kind of separating Alabama and Georgia from the rest of the pack right now?
Well, common thing would be quarterback play, in third down conversions and, protecting the ball, not turning the ball over a lot. Those are similarities. Both got good set of backs, good set of receivers. Both teams are scoring points. Biggest difference is they play better defense, obviously, than we have, and we've got to improve upon that. But I think both teams are good football teams. That's why they're representing their divisions in the conference championship, and both teams continue to get better.
And Kirby, if I could take you back when you were Alabama's defensive coordinator, when you had those back-to-back SEC championship games against Florida, losing the one in 2008 and winning the one in 2009, a lot of Bama players said after that 2009 game that, at the beginning of the year, y'all said Florida is who y'all need to knock off to where y'all need to go. Y'all are kind of in that situation with Alabama. How do you balance the goal of improving from within and then focusing on who you've got to take down to get to where you want to go?
Yeah, I wouldn't say in 2009 that our goal was to take down Florida. It was to take down whoever's in our path, to be honest with you. I've never been around really good teams that are focused on other teams. The good teams I've been around are focusing on whoever they play that week, and it's really not been different for us this year. I mean, we've really tried to hone in on what we've got to do and what we got to do to get better, and our concern can't be with Bama all year. We wouldn't be here. So it's a concern now because we've got to go play them. So we've got to go play a good football game. We've got to execute. We got to do a good job in order to play one of the best teams in the country. So we've never looked at it as it's all about them or all about us. We just got to do a good job executing.
Thank you.
Next we go to Mike Griffith of Dog Nation.
Prepared for some of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in SEC history. What makes Tua so special, and what have you seen this season out of him?
Mike, that thing turned on a little late. Can you repeat that question?
Yes, sir. I said obviously you prepared for some of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in SEC history, and you got an eyeful of Tua last year. What makes Tua so special, and what have you seen from him in terms of his progress this year?
What makes him special? He's got an elite arm talent. He's really fast. He's got really good wide receivers around him. He's got powerful backs. He's got a talented tight end and a great offensive line. And he knows where to go with the ball. He's got great vision downfield. He's got the ability to look off safeties. He can throw the touch pass. He can throw bullets. He's really good at the RPO game. And then on top of all that, he can run. So he's a lot to take in. I think you see that by their scores and what they've been able to do. So the challenges are to be able to cover people, be able to affect the quarterback, be able to tackle people in open space, take advantage of mistakes. And he's certainly a very talented, and I don't look at him just as dual threat. I mean, I look at him as a talented pocket passer because that's where he does a lot of his damage.
And following up on that, your secondary hasn't given up a lot of chunk plays. Your front seven looks to have improved. Can you assess where those units are at as far as your secondary, the confidence you have in them, and then just where you feel like your front seven is right now?
Yeah, I've commented all year. We're work in progress, and progress is about it's about over. So it's season's coming to an end, and we're still in work in progress. So we've got to show improvement, and we've got to change gears because what we did last week is nothing to do with what we're going to have to do this week. And when you look at the players and the players that played, I mean, we'll have different guys in the game. We'll have it's a different mode. It's completely different. So we'll have to get them ready to play, and that's our job as coaches to prepare these guys this week. And I'm certainly excited about the opportunity our guys have gotten to go cover what is one of the most elite group of skill players I've seen assembled in college football. When you look at the wideouts they've got a bunch of them, and they're really good. And then they got some toys they can do things with, and then they got tight end. They got really good backs. So with all those things, we've got to play a really good football game, and our kids are excited for the opportunity.
Next is Matt Fortuna, The Athletic.
Hey, Kirby, would you look back at that first college staff with Coach Saban in 2007 and at some of the lessons that everyone kind of learned going through some of the times from a win-loss perspective? And how do you think, what signs did you see at the time that showed you that kind of success was going to come pretty soon?
Man, I hate to say this, but this thing went out again. You said something about 2007. We're talking about the Bama season, 2007, or?
Yeah, you and Coach Saban's for Coach Saban's first season at Alabama when you guys were all together.
And you're asking what about that year?
I was asking, what did you guys learn as a staff, and you particularly, how you saw some success coming in the near future, even if it didn't show through the win-loss record in 2007?
I think it was more about recruiting at that point in time, and getting players to buy in and believe in the principles and values that we preached. You come in, not everybody jumps on board right away. There's guys that say, you know what, I'm going to keep it my way, and I'll get out of here before this guy ever makes it. And then there's other guys that buy right in and try to sell it to others. And certainly 2007, we didn't have a program where everybody was completely bought in yet, but we were Coach does a great job organizing things, and he had everything in order, and guys started to buy in. As they bought in, we won more games. We recruited and got better players. It was certainly a process, and as that happened, we got better and better. And I think that's the way you build a program. You build it on a foundation that you want to be consistent and you want to be long-term.
Thank you.
Next we'll go to Chip Towers of the AJC.
Kirby, how are you?
Doing good, Chip.
Hey, we've talked a little bit about the LSU game, but specifically, when you guys came out of that game and came back to Athens, what were some of the things that you guys discussed as a staff about we've got to address this, whether it be from a strategic standpoint or personnel, because obviously you guys played markedly better from that point on?
Well, there's a lot of things. We just didn't, we didn't handle the atmosphere well. We didn't play our best game, and we didn't coach our best game. So it wasn't all the players, and it wasn't all the scheme. It was a lot of things combined, and a lot of things happened in that game that were really close to going our favor, and we've kind of belabored those things. But at the end of the day, we didn't put our best foot forward, and we talked about moving forward, saying, hey, we're going to really hone in on things, get good at this, get good at that, and not worry about the rest, and take the players that really want to be a part of it, want to buy into it, and get them out there and play, and made a commitment to playing some of the younger players. And as they've played better. And that's the only way to grow some of these young guys is to get them out there and put them in the game and let them make mistakes.
When you look back at that specific point in the season to where you are now, are you pleased with what you saw happen?
As far as the progress made since that game?
Yeah, I mean, there's objectives, and then there's meeting those objectives. Obviously, you guys didn't lose again, but I'm sure. I mean, you look at it so much differently than we do in that regard.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like there's things we've done better each and every game, but there's a vast amount of improvement that can be done. And I think the only way you improve is you kind of iron sharpens iron, and you go compete against each other, and you get better, and you keep working. I mean, we're not where we need to be by any means. And I think offensively we're playing, good football. We're being very efficient. And when you're efficient, you give yourself a chance. But defensively, we certainly got to improve.
Thanks.
Next is Joseph Goodman of Birmingham News.
Yeah, Kirby, hey, how you doing?
Doing good.
Great. The offense has changed a lot since you've been there at Alabama. Are you surprised that Nick Saban even went this way to such a fast-paced, high-scoring offense as compared to his usual in the past grinded-out running games?
No, not surprised. I mean, I was there during some of Lane's time where it was very high-paced, high-scoring, and up-tempo, and Lane always leaned on that. He certainly wanted to do that as much as possible, and they're doing a really good job of it now. They can mix tempos. I mean, they can run power game at you. They just score faster doing it another way, and they certainly got a lot of talent at the wide receiver position, quarterback position, like I've talked about. So, I mean, if they can score, they're going to score, and they're good at it. And he's doing what they do best. And I think a lot of that credit goes to Coach Loxley and Coach Enos and their offensive staff. I mean, they've got a who's who studied cast over there on offense of coaches that allow them to prepare. A lot of their support staff I've known for a long time, and there's guys that have been in pro ball, been coaches in pro ball that are over there, and they get great ideas. They get great players, and they put the package together, and they're really aggressive with it.
Okay, so as a follow-up, this team has been outscoring opponents by over 20 points all season. How do you stop this offense?
Well, you gotta play good. You gotta be able to cover people. You gotta be able to affect the quarterback. You gotta try to make them one-dimensional, but sometimes one-dimensional for them is just they're okay with it. They want to be able to attack you down the field, attack you vertically, and play good football. Look, I don't think there's anybody that's going to go out there and stone cold these guys. When you watch them play, you see them score points. So you got to do a good job creating turnovers, creating lost yardage plays, and you got to make plays on the ball when you're not looking at it. When you're not in phase and your back's to the ball, you're going to have to make some plays on the ball because they throw the ball vertically down the field.
Thanks, Kirby.
Next, Steve Moulton, WGDN.
Yes, Coach. I was hoping you could possibly update us on the health of Monty Rice.
Yeah, Monty wasn't able to play Saturday. He's down to one crutch, and he's trying to get back. I was talking to him after the game. He feels much better, but he's not 100%. I'd know a lot more probably tomorrow after practice.
Further, I mean, with what you saw out of Tua in the national championship game compared to seeing on tape this year, what areas have you seen improvement, most improvement, or has he? Does he look like he did back in the national championship game, Coach?
Well, he looked real good in that one, but he looks really good now. He's definitely improved. He's confident. You can see it's just the experience of playing in games and being able to go in and affect the other guys and the trust and confidence and timing. And I think, quarterback coach he's got there, Coach Enos does a great job, and he's really developed. He's gotten better, and you can tell he's playing with a lot of confidence.
Where has Jake Fromm gotten better this year, Coach?
Same. He's gotten more confidence. I think he's comfortable with things. He knows where people are now. He knows the protections better. He's got a trust in the offensive line that's been playing well for him, and he's also got a run game that he's able to rely on. If things get hairy, he's able to put us in the right run and make it a positive play. Staying away from a lost yardage play. A lot of our runs turn into 2 and 3 yard runs, but they make third down much more manageable.
With someone you have like Rodrigo.
Hey, Steve, we can come back to you. We got to get some more on, okay? Next up, let's go to Barrett Salih of CBS Sports.
And as what Steve asked about the running game and what you said, DeAndre Swift injured earlier in the year. He came on strong. How delicate and how careful with you early in the season with him, and how banged up was he?
It's hard to measure that because it's not a injury that you can test and measure. It's a feel. It's a personal feel for how he feels, and he had some things in the spring that bothered him with that growing, and there were a couple instances in the early in the season that he felt it and it bothered him a little bit, and we obviously wanted to keep him fresh and try to keep him healthy. So it was a topic of conversation in some early games, but there was never a point where we were like, "Hey, we got to get him out of there. He's hurt." It wasn't like that. It just the kid went out and competed, played hard in a lot of early games, and as the season went on, I think he's gotten better and better.
And as far as your linebackers go, obviously you lost a lot of guys last year, and the run defense over the last month has been significantly better. What clicked with those guys, and how do you assess their progression from game 1 to game 12?
Well, I think as a unit we've gotten better. It's never the run game is never one group. The D line or the linebacker secondary is really tied into the run support and run defense. So it's on all of us, and we've improved on that because we've worked hard on it, and we've gone against our offense. And I think that those are only ways we can get better is to really preach the fundamentals. And we had some sloppy tackling in the LSU game, and that probably hurt us more than the schemes. We just didn't tackle real well, and we've got to tackle well in this game. They got really good skilled players. Doesn't matter if it's a back, tight end, or receiver, but when you start giving them yards after the catch, it adds up.
Thanks, Kirby.
Yep.
Next is Blake Topmeyer, the Knoxville News Sentinel.
Hey, Kirby, I know he's been dealing with an injury, but just in general, how would you describe what you've gotten out of Cade Mays this season?
Very dependable. He's a kid that came in, has played every position except for center. He's played 4 positions on our offensive line. He's been very intelligent. He's been able to go in, plug and play. This guy gets hurt, he goes in, he pops in there, he takes 3 or 4 reps at each position during the week, and he's able to go in and communicate and function, and that's been big for us. He's really physical, really tough guy, and those qualities are pretty important in offensive linemen.
Do you expect you'll have him back for Saturday?
Don't know that yet.
Thanks.
Next is Michael Cascrandy of AL.com.
Hey, Kirby, just wondering in general, what's the biggest difference between this team you'll bring in Saturday compared to the team that you had in January against Alabama?
I don't know. That's a tough question. I feel like we're probably not quite where we were special teams-wise last year. We've been really good in some areas, and we've really struggled in some. So we've been up and down, where last year I felt like we were a little more complete special teams unit. Defensively, we just had so much experience. We were playing with, guys with 30 and 40 starts. And some of them were, they weren't that talented. They played, they had a lot of experience. Now we've got a little less experience on that side of the ball, and we've got a little more experience on our offensive side of the ball, minus 2 really good backs. So it's a very different team, a very different personality team, but they have been very effective and been very good leaders.
Next we'll go to Mark Weiser, the Athens Banner-Herald.
Like Cornell Williams, and what do they need to do to keep him out of the backfield?
didn't get you, Mark, call the very end of something about the backfield.
I was saying, what kind of challenge is it for Lamont Gilliard and the offensive guards facing a guy like Quentin Williams, and what do they need to do to keep him out?
Well, it's the ultimate challenge. I mean, you're playing one of the best football players in college football. He's extremely quick, extremely athletic. He uses his leverage well. He's powerful. Obviously, Raekwon was extremely disruptive last year and a really good football player. So, I mean, they've got really good football players. We are well aware of that. And biggest thing is, being fundamentally sound, playing a good pad level, and being able to put ourselves in positive situations in the right plays. I don't think you go out there and just stone these guys. They got good football players. You've got to do a good job mixing things up. You got to stay balanced, and you got to stay consistent with it.
And you guys obviously have been throwing the ball around well down the stretch here. What do you make of the matchup with their young corners?
Well, first of all, I think they got two really good corners, and they're good football players. And our guys have been having good timing and running good routes, and we got a competitive group of receivers, so I think it'll be a good matchup.
Thanks.
Next, we have Anthony Dasher from GeorgiaSports.com.
You talked about a lot of the young kids you've had playing for him, and particularly a lot of freshmen who have contributed this year. 13 games in now, is it a case where they're no longer freshmen, or you still get a little bit concerned about maybe some of that youthful exuberance in a big game like this?
No, I mean, I think that anytime you look at each freshman is different. I mean, we got some freshmen that it never affects them. The moment's never too big for them. They go play, and then other freshmen probably get more anxiety than others, and each one's different. So, the ones that handled it well early will probably handle this well, and the ones that got nervous early will probably be nervous for this one. But each one's different, and each one's kind of separated out. I know this. They've bought in and are playing really hard for us, and they're gaining confidence in the games they've been able to get experience and play in.
And in particular about Adam Anderson, the kind of progress he's made. He really seems to play pretty well of late.
Adam's growing. He's getting better. He's taking on a role in special teams, and he's developing. He's got a lot of speed, a lot of good instincts. He's become a lot more serious about learning his assignments, which has given us an opportunity to place some responsibility on him, and he continues to get better at that.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, that's going to wrap you up. We appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you on Friday in Atlanta.
Okay, thank you, guys.